Hello and welcome to what is part 2 of What Is That. Today we are covering electrics, so I'm going to show you a few different cars, what they've got in them and how they work. Let's have a look. So let's start off with this car here. Let's get this beautiful little, well, big pink body shower. Right, so in this one we have what they call a brushless motor. I'll explain that in a sec. An ESC, a servo, receiver, and if we flip it round, a battery. So in simple terms, the motor turns and it makes the car drive. As you can see, it's connected to a gear there, which goes off to the wheels via some way and turns the wheels. The ESC controls the motor, so it tells it how high to rev. So when I've got a remote, so I have a remote here, and I go down on the trigger, the ESC tells how much power to give to the motor to make it go that fast. We then have our servo in here, which is the red bit, if you can see in there. It's a little shiny red bit, and that makes the car turn. So it's got a little gear that turns left and right, and you can trim that on here. Just above it, we have a receiver which talks to this. So when I'm turning left or turning right, or if I'm going throttle, it first talks to this and then is sent off to the other electronics in the car. The battery has a fairly simple role. It powers the ESC, which sends the power off to the other two. So that is all the electronics in an RC car. So let's break down what different types you can get. So this is my new Kiev Club's car. It's all spec with the wheels and this really beautiful Kiev Club shell, and it's got LS on the side, but that stands for Lyddallsport. So it's on the front as well, and look, it's got blue, yellow, bit of purple in there as well, sort of triangle camo. Looks really cool. Anyway, enough waffle. I'll put a link to my Facebook in the description, because you would have seen this car a lot on Facebook if you do follow me. Yeah, I'll put a link to those. But let's continue. So in this car, we can see they look slightly different, but we have got ESC, motor, servo, receiver, and if I look in here, a battery, which would sit like so.
Like so.
Yeah, so if I turn this on now, find the right way around, you can hear the fan fire up. So I'll plug it out, because that's nicely storage charge. So on this car we have a brushless motor. So if you go back into the olden days, these motors have brushes in them and therefore are called brushed motors. And that's just what they used to look like. So you'd get those in all the old Tamiya kits, like these ones, all these TTO2 chassis kits. That's what comes in them as standard. Whereas brushless, obviously because of the name, they do not have brushes. So they're in there, there's just a rotor, and there's some other stuff that I'm not educated enough to know about. But basically, they have better acceleration. So brushes go like, brushes go, but on here, you'll see, if you can see, it says 21.5. So that means 21.5 is the turns. So the turns is due to resistance. So the lower the number, the less resistance, so the faster the motor goes. So for example, this one is 13.5. This is slower than this one though, but we'll see. This is 21.5. So in theory, this just fixed timing would be slower. However, you may have noticed I just said the word timing. Well, now what's timing? If we look at the end of the motor there, you'll see there's a little screw that this one does not have on it. And what you can do with that is you can get one of these, you put it in there, you can loosen it, and if I find somewhere, you'll see on the, you should be able to see there's little notches around the sides which tell you the timing. Now the higher you turn up the timing, the faster your motor goes. So actually, a fixed 13.5 is slower than a 21.5 with timing. I've noticed anyway. So you can, loosen it off, twist it, and the higher the number, the higher the degree, the more power you get from it. But it's also putting more heat into the motor. So there's always a sweet spot to find with these motors. Whereas brushed and brushless fixed timing, you cannot do any of that. So you can't mess it up. Anyway, brushless speed controllers. This means that if you have a brushless one, there's probably quite a lot of programming you can do on it. So what's programming? So I don't have mine, but you can get like a little box, like a card. You can plug that in. So on this one, you'll see there's a little bit right there. Put my finger in now. You can plug a programming box into that, and you can change a bunch of different settings. So like you might know on real cars, they have an OBD port, which you can plug things into and customize the car, which is really cool. You can do the same with this. Yeah, see you next time. Next episode is how the racing works. So we'll get into that next week, maybe. The only reason I'm filming this is because the teacher strikes. Thank God. Thank God for them, by the way.